This call is being recorded.
Courtney? Hello?
Hi. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. So congratulations again on
Thank
winning, your
you.
team winning.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. Just really quick, do you have on headphones? Because it's not the best reception. And I noticed
I
if you
do
have
have on
earbuds,
headphones.
can you take them off and just use a regular phone because it doesn't record
Yeah.
as good?
Is this better?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay. So you received the run of show. I'm just going to do a brief intro. I'll just go through the formality of doing my podcast. I may be able to publish it, but I'm definitely going to use it to write the magazine article. So
Okay.
I'll just do the intro and the outro at the end, and then that'll be it. Now,
Okay.
the questions that I sent are just like guides. So as we talk more, maybe something else will come out that we could discuss. But basically, using technology to address social and business issues. Hello?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome again to the Shine and Grind podcast. I'm Angeline Lawrence, your host. And this month we are looking at how to refresh our blank. You fill in the blank. But today I am talking with Miss, wow, and my mind just went blank. That's amazing. Is it Dandridge? Courtney?
Dansby.
Dansby. Lord help. Okay. I'll just cut that part out. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, and today we are talking with Miss Courtney Dansby. She is a chemical engineer with a degree from Hampton University, and she also has a master's in entrepreneurship from my alma mater, University of Michigan. And today we want to discuss how she has used technology to address certain issues, namely sexual assault. This is something that many people do not want to discuss. It's a very taboo subject, but as we see in the recent news and events on our college campuses and even in our homes, unfortunately, the sexual assault is very present, and it is a topic that we need to address. So, Courtney, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, just really quickly, I wanted to get an understanding of how you were able to overcome so many of the problems that accompany being sexually assaulted and sexual abuse, and domestic violence, I might add, how you were able to overcome that obstacle and those obstacles to achieve the things that you've achieved today.
I just want to say, Angeline, I think the biggest thing that really helped me out was having a support system. So having my friends and family really support me when it came to being a victim of sexual assault and domestic violence. Another thing was getting back into my spiritual life. I had lost it for a couple of years, and getting back into that really gave me, my sense of purpose of why I'm here on the earth and that I'm here to still continue and that my time is not over. That really helped. And then also being in school and really being focused on school and just bettering myself really helped me to continue on through the years.
Yes, and that is a great way to to look at your situation is that your time is not over, because many feel like that is the end. They feel like, how am I ever going to move past this? And for you to reconnect with your spiritual life, that is a game changer. Our show is geared towards Christian working women. And so many of us know the strength and resilience that you can receive from walking in faith. So share with us, when you say your spiritual life, what were some of the things that you were able to do to help you reconnect?
I think what really helped me, fortunately, I have a cousin who is a pastor here in Michigan. Being able to talk to him as a cousin, but also as a pastor, which really helped me out. I also have a lot of friends that are spiritual, so being at school, it really helped for them to just come and get me and take me to church, whether or not I actually wanted to go. And being able to talk to them about God and our purpose on life, and having those, Christian women around you to keep you lifted up in your spirit.
Yes. Yes, that is so important, that you have people around you that speak life. I've interviewed so many women that have endured, I mean, you can just name it, from AIDS to, domestic violence, everything. And they all say the same things. Have the right people around you, because you want to have that love and that support and that positivity that will help you and strengthen you to keep going. So let's kind of switch gears and talk about some of the wonderful things that you've been able to accomplish. And we're looking at refreshing and taking a fresh look at things. So in dealing with sexual assault, how were you able to use your background to create a mobile app? It's called Safe Spaces. How were you able to use your technology and your knowledge to create this mobile app to address this widespread problem?
Well, I'm very business oriented. So I went and got my master's in entrepreneurship that really taught me how to run a business, the steps you go through it. And going through Startup Weekend and meeting the wonderful men, Brian Lewis and Darren Riley, they were very interested in the idea and just being able to create this mobile app that addresses a problem that most people don't want to talk about. And addressing a problem in at least one way that it can, one, educate college students, but also, have that prevention piece where the more people are educated, the more likely they know, the signs of someone that has gone through sexual assault, or how to keep themselves out of certain situations that may result in that, but also understanding the background of, what is consent, how to have happy relationships, how to be an ally, really help someone out that may be going through those certain situations that may think they may not have a support system with their friends, but maybe some of their classmates can be an ally for them. And I think it just would be a really helpful app, because when you go to college as a freshman, you're essentially stepping on new ground, new territory, new faces. You don't really know anyone, and your support system can be miles away. So God forbid if something were to happen, this app could kind of connect you to people that deem themselves as allies, and you have that support system with you.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. So one thing that stuck out with me, what you said in terms of prevention, well, as two. One is consent. What is consent? And two, how to recognize, I guess, a perpetrator. Is that correct?
Yes.
So let's start with consent. Can you just give us a brief definition?
So just a brief definition. For one, I can tell you consent always has to be verbal, and everyone has to be, the person has to be sober and within the right of mind. It's just permission for something to happen or an agreement to do something. So there has to be a verbal yes. That means if you're drunk and, you are having those type of feelings, and there's no verbal yes, there's no consent given. One, there's no verbal yes, and two, you're drunk, you're not in your right mind, you're not sober, you can make the right decisions for yourself at that time.
Okay. Now, is this based on a legal definition?
This is kind of just based on the definition within the dictionary and some of the information I have learned while I was at University of Michigan through SAPAC. So they defined it as, verbal yes, right in your right mind. And then legally, it's just, something to an agreement to do something, permission for something to happen. So consent is not just something sexual. It's even when you have a legal agreement written up, you are agreeing with a verbal yes or with your signature saying you're agreeing to do that thing within those legal documents.
Okay. And then kind of give us maybe the top 5 signs or warning signals to look for that are common among perpetrators.
I guess the warning signals for a perpetrator, I want to say the first one is, someone that is really trying to control every aspect of your life. It can be as simple as controlling who you interact with when it comes to family and friends. I can give you an example. I was in a domestic violence relationship, and soon enough, I started to question my friends because my perpetrator was questioning my friends, and he was keeping me away from, the friends that were my support system. So a lot of times my phone was taken away. I wasn't able to see them, whether if I was with him, it'd be him and his friends, it'd be no one else. Another thing is they could be, you could be financially dependent on that person. So they could really just kind of take over your finances, and they're just the holder of your finances. You can't get to any type of money, and you're very financially dependent on them. Another thing is not necessarily a sign, because I don't want to say, every charming person can be a perpetrator, but most perpetrators are charming. They make everyone love them. In public, they make everything seem that it's okay, but in private, no one really knows who they are. So they can be very charming when it comes to family and friends, and everyone could say, oh, we really love them. Why do you think you have things wrong? Maybe it's your fault. So they always make them seem as though they are the best person for you when it comes to your family and friends and when there's an outside perspective. Those are really the top signals I have. I don't have 5.
Okay.
But
okay. Okay.
The biggest one is control.
I'm sorry, the biggest one is what? Say that again.
Is controlling every aspect of your life.
Okay. And now this is sexual abuse in terms of in relationships, not just sexual assault that might occur on a campus or in your home or, in your community.
Yeah, this is pertaining to relationships.
Okay. Okay. And so how does your app work in terms of connecting people to a support system?
That's when the ally page kind of comes into play. So within the app, students can deem themselves as an ally. They will be educated on what an ally is, how to be a good ally, and they can deem themselves as an ally, and they can deem their place of residence as a safe space. So say, for example, you're going out on a date, you don't really know the person, and you have all these allies in the app, but, you can choose to let everyone know you left your house and where you're going, or you can choose one person to say, hey, I left my house, I'm going on a date, this is where I'm going. Say the date doesn't go very well, you can go back to that ally page and see which one of your allies is home, and they deem as a safe space and say, hey, either come get me or I'm coming by you. I don't feel safe. I just need to stay with you for a while. And that way you have that sense of a support system, whether it's, your immediate friends or people you may know on campus that are just in your class that we're saying, hey, I'm an ally. I'll help you. My place is a safe space. There's no judgment. There's no pressure. If you need I'm on the app. If you need to come to my house and you're in a certain area, you don't feel safe, I'll come get you. You can either contact that person saying, hey, come get me, or you can contact that person and say, hey, I'm coming by. I don't feel safe. Some things are happening that I'm just not used to or don't want to be around. I see that you're close to where I'm at. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
And that's a very positive thing, is to be able to be connected to other people, because I know isolation is one thing that can make a target or even a victim stay in that situation. So being connected is a positive, very positive thing. So just really quickly, can you define, because I've never really thought about sexual abuse in terms of a relationship. This is something that's new to me, and it may be new to others and to the audience, and they could be a victim of it and not even realize it. So could you define what that means in terms of sexual abuse in a relationship?
Yeah. So sexual abuse in a relationship, what I think of it as someone that is, just abusing you sexually when you don't want it. So honestly, it could be, most of it is, they're wanting to have sex with you and you don't want it, and it's forced upon you, and there's no sense of consent. There's a word that I've learned through SAPAC, which is called, people think consent is blanket consent. When you give the consent, you have consent for every time. That's not the case. Every time you are involved in a sexual activity, whether, you have a boyfriend or not, or you're in a marriage, consent is needed for every time you are in that sexual activity. So sexual abuse can happen when you don't want to have sex and you're forced to do it all the time, every time when you don't want to, and they're using that over you to keep control of you. That would be my definition.
Wow. And that's just like another act of violence, basically.
Yeah. So it honestly would be another way as a perpetrator to kind of control you.
Okay. And do you know any statistics on this issue?
I do not when it comes to relationships. I know 1 in 5 women on a college campus will experience sexual assault, especially within their first 2 years of college. I know if you have been sexually assaulted, you're more likely than someone who has not been to be sexually assaulted again in your lifetime. Those are the only stats I know.
Okay. And lastly, how did you get around the right people to create your app? Did you do it all on your own, or did you have a team?
So that came from Startup Weekend Detroit. So when I went to Startup Weekend Detroit, my initial thought was that we were going to be working, on our own startups. When we all decided to pitch a startup, we had like a voting process, and Brian and Darren had approached me and said, we're really interested in this. We work with youth now. This is a big issue that we feel like it should be solved. So we had worked that Friday through Sunday on the app, and we won Startup Weekend. So we just happened to be in the same place at the right time. I believe there's always a reason for things, and God puts you in places for certain things to meet certain people. And we're actually going to continue with this app, which is great because it gives us a sense of, solving a real problem that's out there, not only in college and universities, but in the world. it gives me as a survivor a way to say, hey, I can give back on something that maybe happened to me in the past that's been horrible, but I can change it into something good. And it also gets Brian and Darren involved where men are normally not involved in these types of conversations. They're always seen as the perpetrator, where the perpetrator could be a woman or a man. And men always think it's a woman's issue. And I think it's great that I have two co-founders that are male that are really interested in this issue because it touches their heart, regardless of if they know someone that's gone through this. Yeah, we all met that weekend.
Wow. For people that may not be familiar with Startup Weekend, it is a global movement, and they happen all over the world. Could you just give a brief definition?
Oh, a Startup Weekend?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So Startup Weekend is just, they have different types of Startup Weekends. So the one I went to was Social Impact. So it's a whole weekend. You know, you go Friday after work, you work 8 hours on Saturday and Sunday, and people pitch, you know, their ideas, and we as teams vote, and those teams work to bring a minimal viable product. So that could be, you know, an app, customer surveys, whatever have you be, to show that it's a real problem and that your solution is valid. And you actually pitch against each other at the end of the competition on Sunday. And it's, you know, you win certain prizes. It's really helpful when it comes to people that, you know, want to get into entrepreneurship, or they're in it and they want to meet new people. And it's a great way to get your ideas out there and to start something and learn how to pitch. You know, get to network with people that are entrepreneurs in Detroit that can help you really understand your problem and fine-tune it. And, you know, it's just a really, really great event. I know they have Startup Week coming up this year, where there's going to be conferences and speakers and demos and pitches and competitions. So that's kind of like a 10 times bigger Startup Weekend with people that have their businesses already kind of the level where they're in competition level. They're looking for investment. But for people that want to start their own ventures and, you know, learn from people that have done it for years and that's their full-time job, or, you know, just get to network with other people within the city that are also entrepreneurs as well.
Yes, and it is a major movement, and it allows you to get your idea not only on paper, but to see that it comes to life. So it was a great weekend, and that's where I met Courtney, actually, and it was sponsored by some awesome organizations here based in Michigan, Techtown, Cleary University, and my service sorority, National Public Service Sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. So, Courtney, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story and just providing some insight on sexual abuse and how you were able to overcome it, but also turn it into a purpose, to turn your pain into purpose to help others.
Thank you so much for having me today, Angeline.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And again, we want to thank you for joining us on the Shine and Grind podcast. We encourage you to grow, do, and repeat. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you so much. And I hope that that this won't be the last time I hear from you, that we can continue to form a relationship. I love your spirit, and just to have someone that is both spiritual and business minded is just cool. So, and while we have you on the phone, let me ask you real quick. So the one session would be the managing your business would be May 27th from 1 to 2. That's a Saturday. Is that something that you could attend to speak?
Yeah. Let me go ahead and actually put it on my calendar so I can block it out from work.
Okay.
So
all right.
They know not to tell me to work.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you again, and I'll be sending you a confirmation letter. And I'll also send you the information, Miss Nedra Lucas, so that she can talk to you. She always wants to talk to her presenters, and
Okay.
I'll be doing that shortly.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank
Wonderful.
you for letting me
You're
interview.
welcome.
It was great.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
All righty. Bye-bye.